Welcome to this segment of News Venezuela. This is World in Evolution, your preferred news channel. Today, we will be discussing the plans that the U.S. has regarding Nicolas Maduro. The White House has advanced that the intention of the U.S. government to negotiate the lifting of sanctions on Venezuela, tied to the holding of free elections in the country in 2024, has a time limit. Juan Gonzalez, Special Assistant to President Joe Biden and Director for Hemispheric Affairs at the White House, stated to Voice of America that the policy towards Venezuela remains the same, but emphasized that there is no indefinite window for this negotiation. Here what we are trying to create are incentives for them to take a different route. But the window is one that will eventually close, Gonzalez said. The recent disqualification of Maria Corina Machado, a candidate in the opposition primary in Venezuela, has been seen by electoral experts as an obstacle to the realization of free and fair elections in the future. The U.S. administration continues to support any conversation that may be established between the United Platform and the de facto government of Venezuela, with the aim of ensuring a return to the dialogue table in Mexico City, where both delegations had last dialogued at the end of last year. In the face of the possibility of imposing more sanctions on the South American country, Gonzalez highlighted that the package of measures against Venezuela is already one of the most robust in the world and that adding more sanctions would not change the status quo. The interest of the Biden administration is to create the conditions for a free and fair electoral environment in Venezuela, which would also benefit countries like Colombia, which have received millions of Venezuelans who fled the country due to difficult political, economic, and security conditions. Gonzalez emphasized that it would be unfortunate if negotiations with Venezuela were not achieved, as last year around 1 million Venezuelans emigrated due to the situation in their country. Secretary of State Antony Blinken also expressed concern about Machado's disqualification and stated that it sends the wrong message about the willingness of the Venezuelan government to move forward with free and fair elections. The political situation in Venezuela continues to be a matter of interest and concern for the international community, and the Biden administration seeks to maintain incentives to promote positive changes in the South American country. However, time for these negotiations is limited, and the next weeks and months are expected to be crucial in determining the course of relations between the United States and Venezuela. The dialogue between the United Platform of the opposition and the de facto government of Venezuela will continue to be crucial, especially considering that the window of opportunity to negotiate the lifting of sanctions has a deadline that will eventually expire. The efforts to achieve free and fair elections in the South American country remain a priority for the U.S. administration. The disqualification of Maria Corina Machado and the impact this measure may have on the electoral process have generated concern both nationally and internationally. Electoral experts recognize that her disqualification represents a significant obstacle to achieving transparent and representative elections. The political and economic situation in Venezuela has led to a massive migration of Venezuelans to neighboring countries, with Colombia being one of the most affected. The need to achieve a peaceful and democratic solution in Venezuela becomes urgent to alleviate the migration crisis and restore stability in the region. The role of the international community is also relevant in this context. Vice President of Venezuela Delcy Rodriguez and the coordinator of the delegation of the United Platform in Mexico, Gerardo Blide, recently met with leaders from countries such as France, Argentina, Brazil, and Colombia in Brussels. These meetings aim to consolidate multinational support for the restoration of democracy in Venezuela and the promotion of fair elections. Despite the complexity of the situation, the Biden administration seeks to maintain hope that negotiations can be resumed and lead to a scenario where unity and cohesion within the opposition allow a path towards freedom and democracy. Political stability and the protection of human rights in Venezuela are matters of global interest, and it is imperative that all parties involved engage in constructive dialogue to seek solutions that benefit the entire country. In this context, the international community must continue to support initiatives to achieve free and fair elections in Venezuela, maintaining a clear stance on respecting human rights and democracy. The next weeks and months will be crucial for Venezuela's future, and how negotiations are handled and efforts to restore democracy will determine the country's direction in the coming years. The Biden administration remains committed to working towards a free and fair electoral environment in Venezuela, but time is a determining factor, and the window of opportunity to incentivize change has a limit. The hope is that all parties involved, both inside and outside of Venezuela, will work together to achieve a peaceful transition towards a more stable and democratic future. That's all for the news. I invite you to subscribe to this channel and click on the bell icon, selecting All, so you receive all notifications of new content. Also, if you are an entrepreneurial person looking to earn money from home, I invite you to visit my website, Self-Made Millionaires, online. I'll be waiting for you there. Blessings.